podcast that dives into the raw, real, sometimes ridiculous aftermath of getting laid off and finding your footing again. I'm your host, Dre Jankowski, and today I'm joined by Rob Zaro, a QA engineer who went from laid off to launching a SaaS product and landing a new job, all in under 60 days. Whether you're in the thick of it or just curious how others are making it through, this episode is a packed perspective, process, and a whole lot of purpose. Let's dive in.
I've been doing this for so I've known everything from manual just recently took their director into a development team and some temporary VP of engineering roles. So I've been kind of all over the place in the
I love that. And, you know, I thought I left that meeting happy and excited and looking forward to the next meeting. And then, fast forward 3 or 4 days, I knew, I didn't even have to finish the sentence. So we went through the whole thing, their quality, not performance related, this, the business is that. We are eliminating your role. There's a few others as well. So that's what kind of got me on the job market. Otherwise, I wouldn't have looked. I really enjoyed the company and the people that I was working with. But there's a lot of factors which I won't go into because those are, private to the business of why they have to do cuts. what did you do first? So you got this news, and definitely not interested so much in like the company or what why, more just like it happened. You got laid off. And then what? Did you turn to LinkedIn right away? Did you cry? Did you eat a steak?
I wanted to cry. So my initial reaction was to jump to action. That's how I am. If there's a problem, I jump to it right away so I can get a head start. But in this scenario, I don't think it quite hit me immediately, right? I got off that call. I knew that was my last day. I was done. I just literally sat back in my chair for, it felt like hours, but it was probably a half hour to an hour. Just kind of thinking about things and just, I got into my own head a little bit with some of it, right? This is the first time I was laid off ever. So it was scary, right? A lot of anxiety. Once I finished that up and kind of got that this actually happened. I turned to the computer again, the personal computer, and I pulled up LinkedIn and I literally got nothing done. Trying to think back now, it feels like it was so long ago. It was only a few months ago.
We should probably talk about the fact that it was how many days from layoff to your next opportunity?
I was extremely fortunate. And it was under 60 days.
That's crazy in this market.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It was pretty. I was fortunate to find people. There's a lot of what I did that I think helped me along, make that process go a little bit quicker. But the job market itself right now, and it has been for quite a while, has been really bad.
Yeah.
So I turned around, I was going to update my resume, and then as I started doing that, the email came in with,
here's your separation package. Here's, you're getting the equivalent of 6 weeks pay. So 3 paychecks for me. We got paid every 2 weeks. So it's like, all right, I have 6 weeks to find another job. And I just left it at that. Kind of let my wife know what was going on. I was starting to get into panic mode.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I know I'm not finding a job in 6 weeks.
And you did it in just under 8, right?
Just under 8. I was close. I would have much rather not go one pay period without a paycheck, but compared to other people, like I said, extremely fortunate. So I didn't really do anything that day. I just kind of let myself feel it. Figured the next day I'd be fine, and I just start doing what I do best. Managing a project. This was a project to me. Like, here's a problem. I got to find a solution. Let's do it. So I got up the next morning, and it's like, I didn't sleep, obviously. It was just like in my head. It's like, all right, I'm going to start applying today. I'm going to update my resume. I'm going to just start, I'm going to update my LinkedIn profile and just start looking. Now, keeping in mind that there's never been an in-between roles period for me, at least not in the last 16 to 18 years. I've always found a job while I've had a job. And it's usually people come to me, right? So I've been pretty fortunate in my career to not have to really look. So I've always had like here's my resume kind of. I never really had to put a lot of thought into it or the process for finding a job, because people would reach out to me on LinkedIn and be like, hey, we have this awesome role, blah, 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 blah. So this was all new to me.
And why did you choose to document every single day, right? I can look through your posts on LinkedIn, which are pretty cool. And it's just like day 1, day 2, day 3. And the first week was really trying to stay positive, just trying to get through this. And then it shifted into really like helpful tips. Like, here's what I did today to be successful. But why did you choose to post these things?
The very next day, day 2, my intention, like I said, was to go start applying. What I ended up doing was rearranging my office. And this kind of got the gears spinning, right? So the thought was rearrange my office, right? It's a change of scenery, right? A change of scenery will help. Well, this is a pretty big room, and I had everything on one desk originally. So separating everything out, it really kind of, while I was doing that, I was able to kind of think through the process. And that's where I kind of said, I should probably be networking. I should probably make myself more visible publicly, knowing that in the past people have come to me for roles that could work for me this time, but I have to kind of speed up that process. So I have to put myself out there. So that's how I started the kind of day 1, day 2, day 3, kind of here's my updates posts. It didn't take more than a day or two. Like those first few posts, the reactions that I got from people, like, I'm sorry, I'm going through this too. I feel for you. Here's what I did that helped. That really made me feel good, right? It helped me kind of like know that there's other people going through this, right? And then I started doing that, right? So in my posts, you've probably seen a good number of them where, and I'm still doing it to this day, offering people my time to review their resumes, do mock interviews with them, at least for roles that I'm familiar with that I can interview them for, right? So that it turned into that, right? So it was kind of it was like a win-win-win. One, I got myself out there. I got myself, publicly visible. Recruiters were seeing me, hiring managers were seeing me. I did get some messages about roles because of those posts. But then it turned into something a little bit more, helping other people, going over resumes with people, getting on calls, making suggestions, or me having been a hiring manager for so many years, here's what I look for in candidates. Let's do a mock interview and see how you do, how your introductions are. It started filling up a whole different cup for me that I didn't even know needed to be filled up. I really, really enjoyed that process. And I think that was like the number one thing that kept me positive.
I saw basically in my network on LinkedIn, I saw somebody that I connected with and they liked one of your posts, like they came across it. And so because they liked it, it came up on mine and I was like, well, who is this guy? And you were at the end. I think you were on day 56 when I saw you.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Yep.
Yeah, you were pretty much like, basically you were going between offers. So by the time I had reached out, which was like day 57 or day 58, you were like, I just took a job. Like I'm going to take one in the next hour or something. And I was like, man, like that's amazing. 60 days, under 60 days is crazy, because I'm hearing people, on the other hand, who are like 2 years and they're just like, I can't find anything. So I took a similar approach of you. Like, I'm not doing it by day, but I wanted to just like open the conversation. I want to be part of the conversation, and I want others to feel included in the conversation of like what's wrong with the system. And my goal isn't necessarily to get a job right now. That's not what I'm working toward. I want to work toward building this community that's not LinkedIn based, and just having people have something else, another resource from other people's stories, because listening to it while you're working can help, or while you're working on the application. But with that, You know, did you write these? Are these raw? Are these Rob's raw thoughts? Did you use ChatGPT at all to kind of help format anything?
I wrote all of them by hand, myself. I did throw some of them, like there were some longer ones that I needed to kind of just rearrange. I would throw a couple of them in there just to one, I'm notorious for typos. So that ChatGPT helps with that. But I would write them up in like a notepad file or something. And then I would just dump them in and, format this for me or,
I mean,
things.
AI is our friend, right?
It
So
is, absolutely.
we shouldn't be shy of it. But prior to this, what was your experience with LinkedIn or your relationship with LinkedIn? Were you posting often or not so much?
I wasn't. I think occasionally I started to a while ago, started a small business, a t-shirt business, and I figured I would just start posting about my website and hopefully get people to see that link on my website and maybe go buy a t-shirt or a mug. So I did a little bit, and it was usually QA, quality assurance, leadership type posts that I would put on my website on a blog, and then I would repost it to LinkedIn, but they were very limited. There wasn't a lot of them. So not really, to answer your question directly. I would, poke in there, in and out of there, just look around. Occasionally I would throw a post up about the QA world or engineering world or leadership, but I really didn't, put any weight on it.
Yeah. And when you started seeing the engagements that you were getting, the people who are liking, the amount of likes, I mean, some of these posts are getting in the hundreds of likes, if not more. What was that doing for you? Was that a serotonin boost? Were you like, ooh, I gotta keep giving the people content? Or did it not affect you at all?
I don't think it really impacted me that much, right? Not from a pure likes perspective, right? So I wasn't doing it to get the likes or just to get numbers up. I mean, I did want the visibility. Obviously, likes are important there to kind of, because people reshare, right? But my main goal was communication, right? It helped me and it helped other people. Getting those posts out there, those posts, almost all of them triggered some kind of conversation. Many of that conversation happened in DMs like, hey, I saw your post. I'm really inspired. Can you help me? Or let's talk, let's kind of share knowledge on what we've gone through. From that perspective, yeah, there might have been a little bit of a boost in the dopamine, but yeah, it wasn't for likes. It was for, for that type of communication. Like I said, there was a cup that I didn't know needed to be filled. And by helping other people and communicating like that, especially when other people are in the same need as me, helped them and helped me.
I found that like sometimes when it resonates with people, right? It's not like you're doing it for the likes, but the fact that multiple people are liking it is helpful. And it's like, I'm not alone, right? It wasn't just 3 people that liked this. It was 300 people saw this message, read this message, liked this message. And that's great. And so the theme of this episode is really all about like small wins and how you can celebrate those little victories. And what I hope people take away from this is like some of the lessons learned that you got going through your 60-day journey, whether you were lucky or not, right? What are some of the things that you did that, how did you celebrate those small wins, or what were those small wins that you had?
Yeah, I think it was, beyond, having those communications with folks that are in similar situations or have been in those situations, as for, going into getting interviews, getting, next round interviews, or having a conversation started with a hiring manager or a recruiter to a specific role. Those were all, there was a lot of ups and downs in that process. I initially I started the whole spray and pray kind of method when it comes to applying for jobs, right? So it's just like, oh look, there's 100 jobs that I like. Let's go do these. Not literally, because I think I only applied for about 100 total, if that. But I started doing that, started getting interviews, and some went really well, some went really poor. The wins were easy to take, obviously. The rejections, those are pretty tough. But I kept moving forward, right? I tried to constantly keep something in the pipeline for myself. So, if you look at it week to week over the whatever it was, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, there was always interviews in progress. Always. Like every single week since that second week, like I had interviews lined up. Some of them just obviously didn't work out. Many of them worked out and things were wrong at the very end. There's a couple that I didn't do so well on, and then I just got a rejection on them. So those hurt, and those, I think at the beginning it wasn't so bad. When, after that first or second severance check, I was getting close to, oh, this is going to be my last paycheck. Those losses started hurting a little bit more. I know myself, and if I let myself sit there and just drudge through it, it'll just make things worse. So for me, it was step away, right? I know things are going to be okay. You know, we're a two income house. We'll have to really budget for a while, worst case scenario. So I had to keep saying that to myself. That kind of helped me with rejection, with, you know, I wasn't ghosted as much. And I know a lot of people do a lot. There was a couple where I did, but I didn't let them get to me. They did. Nobody would know that they got to me, right? So I took them, I allowed myself to fail what I needed to fail. And then that's in the past, right? Move on
Right.
to the next thing. And then the wins would come. And those were always kind of, it'd make you forget all the losses. Even one small win, like, hey, I got past the first round. I'm going to the second round. Who cares about the 12 I was already rejected for? There's still hope. So that's, you know, it was a day-to-day battle. But I think, you know, having something in the pipeline consistently was really what kept me afloat.
Yeah. No, that's great. And again, you shared a lot online about how you were going through this and every single day, kind of what was going through your head, all within realm. I don't know if you shared literally everything. Like I stubbed my toe today, right? But you did talk about like the successes and the failures or the feelings you were having as it pertained to professional aspects. What about your personal life? And not like what's going on in your personal life, but like how did you disconnect from this kind of angst of like, I have to find a job, I want to celebrate a small win. I got an interview today. Did you go and get a cheeseburger? Did you a celery stick? Like what did you do?
No, I just allowed myself to slack off a little bit, right? I mean, I treated the job search like a 9 to 5. I was doing it all day, every day, whether it was applying, researching, reaching out, to people. When I got those wins and I knew I had stuff in the pipeline and I was good for this week and maybe partially next week, I just said, that's it. I'm taking a mental health day. I'm not doing this the rest of the day, or I'm not doing this tomorrow, or hey, it's Friday, I'm not doing anything. I allowed myself to do that. That's kind of how I celebrated the wins. If I knew if I had nothing lined up, I would have been going 7 days a week. But as soon as I got one or two, it was like, all right, I'm confident enough in myself, in my roles, that if I can get in front of people, things will go well.
That's good. And it sounds like it did go well because you landed a job. Now that you know what you know, and you got laid off again, it feels like the first time you were like, let's just take action, let's do this. Would you take a different approach? Is there things that you've learned that you're like, these were the wins? Like this was the best pieces that added the most value?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I started with that whole spray and pray thing. Didn't take me long to figure it out. And I would start where this part of the story begins. The next time I wouldn't go through that first week or so. For me, it was, I'm not going to just go apply for every role that has a title that matches a title that I know I can do. So for me, it was really take my time on each job, right? Less is usually a little bit better and you get more quality roles, more things that I'm aligned to. So, what I started doing and what I would recommend anybody do, actually I wrote a huge article and posted it on my website about all the steps that I kind of took that worked for me. And I would follow that guide to a T next time. But, to summarize it, I obviously look for job boards, mostly on LinkedIn. I did use Simplify because it helped populate job applications, like all that age, sex, gender, kind of all of those questions. It helped populate those for me. But in short, job boards, I see a title that aligns with me. Read the entire description. How much of it do I align with? How much of it I don't align with? And I don't think anybody will ever align 100% to any job description, right? There's always going to be, hey, I haven't touched this tool or I haven't done this thing yet. But is it close enough, right? And another thing is a lot of people use multiple resumes, one for each job. I see that going around a lot. I refuse to do that. I have one generic resume. The only thing I ever change on it is the title for the role I'm going for. Everything else clearly defines my story, defines what I want to do. And actually that's on that same blog post that I put out, but it's there for anybody to see and download to use as a template. But I use that for every single job. I didn't want to change it to the job because I felt like it was cheating. Less about the company that I'm applying for, more for myself. I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm saying I know something that I don't know. Right. And I've seen that as a hiring manager quite a bit. And I don't ever want to be that person. Use one resume for everything. I would look at the job description, like I said, make sure that it aligned with me or I align with them or a two-way alignment. But I still wouldn't apply at that point. I would go research the company. Who are they? What do they do? Start writing down some things that I liked about them, some things that I might have questions about. Go to Glassdoor and check out the reviews. Like, what are people that work there or have interviewed there saying about this company? there's a lot of good information on Glassdoor. You have even up, at the CEO level, do people approve of the CEO or not? So I would, write all of these things down. And then, if everything kind of worked out for me, I felt like everything was aligned, then I would apply. And then, at first I would leave it at that. And then I kind of extended it to, okay, well, that's probably not enough because I'm not hearing back enough. So I would then go back to LinkedIn as part of that whole process. As soon as I apply, instead of calling it a day, is there a hiring manager attached to this job description? And I would email them with an introduction. Hey, the subject being whatever the title is, the job title. Here's, I'm interested in this role. Here's my background really briefly. I'd love to see how I can help you guys or, help build out your QA automation or build out your QA team or whatever, whatever aligned with the role, just to get that initial conversation started. And almost immediately, there was a handful of jobs that had hiring managers attached to them. So you can reach out right on LinkedIn, but there were most that did not. So what I did was I just looked up the company on LinkedIn and just went to the people tab and just looked for anybody, whoever is closest to the role that I was applying for. So if I was applying for a manager role, I'd be looking for the director of engineering, VP of engineering, a QA lead, and an HR person or a talent acquisition person. And I would just reach out to all of them. Same type of introduction that I would have given that hiring manager, but to these guys. That got me a lot of callbacks. A lot of people responded back. Many didn't, but a lot responded back saying, hey, I'm glad you reached out. Send over your resume. I'm like, I already did. I applied, but and it worked out. I mean, it got me a lot of interviews at a lot of really, really cool places.
That's awesome. So your website is it linked on your LinkedIn?
It's just my name, robsaro.com.
Okay. And did you just share posts about your job search, or do you share other things as well on there?
There's other things on there as well, mostly QA related, leadership related. There's not a lot of posts on there. I kind of rushed to put that website up. I had one before, I took it down, I wanted to rebuild it. Since I had some time to myself, I decided to rebuild it with a different technology that I never used before. This way I can learn a new technology while I was laid off. But yeah, there are some there, but anything that was really short mostly went straight to LinkedIn. But like that one that we were talking about earlier with, my full start to finish process. That was too long for LinkedIn. I think they only allow 2,600 characters, and that needed a little more space.
And so I've noticed in this market in 2025, I feel like I've seen it way more than any other time. When people get laid off or they're in between jobs or for whatever reason, they're just unemployed at the moment, they are turning to kind of exploring new opportunities in the sense of like startup and self-employment, whether it be freelancing, gigs, or, driving for Uber. A lot of people I've seen are also kind of starting their own business and doing things with that. Is that something that you explored?
It is. So I've always kind of done the whole mentoring thing. I never thought about it as a business, but I did start a Fiverr account and I put it out there. I didn't get much on there, but I also really love building things. So I started building an application, which is now a product, and it is an LLC, TimeTrackerAI.com. So for me, one of my problems was time management and just kind of because I would work 60, 70, 80 hours a week and be completely burnt out and not really understand where all my time went. So I started building this, but getting laid off is what triggered me to say, okay, this is, I need to, I don't know if I'm going to find another job. I need to do something while I'm trying to find another 9 to 5. So I did start that up. And in fact, it's actually going really well. So I just need a few thousand more customers and then I can go do that full time.
So who is Time Tracker AI for?
So initially it was, like I said, for me, tracking time on an Excel spreadsheet and just trying to figure out, where my time went. As of right now, and it will extend, but as of right now, it's for individuals looking to manage their time, right? So currently there's a time entry table, right? Where you can say, I worked on task A for 20 minutes. This was a urgent, not important kind of priority, or urgent and important priority. Here's how long it took me. So all of that kind of gets stored and saved, and all of that can be used for insights. right? So some of the insights that I give is, how many hours did I work this week or last week or this month, last month, this year, totaled up, right? Or how many hours did I work outside of my working hours, right? So for me, I set my settings to I work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Anything before or after 9 to 5 or on the weekends is considered after hours. Flag it. Tell me not to do that in my AI insights, right? Because I tend to work a lot when I work. So it basically stores all of that currently. And then there is a dashboard where you can get those AI insights. So it's all open AI integrations where it'll go query, what you did for the week, the month, whatever time frame you specify, and just give you a full output of where your time went with suggestions on how to improve time management. How, it'll say for certain tasks you should block off more time, or put this on your calendar to block people from taking your time to do these tasks. Where it's going, it's all kind of retrospective right now, but currently I have kind of forward-looking features being built. So like a to-do Kanban board, if you're familiar, where you can just, drag things from a to-do lane to an in-progress lane to done. Anything gets done obviously goes in that other table as done, but all of that is going to be there so you can start planning tasks. It has a Pomodoro feature. It has, manual time entry. I have a backlog that's way too big to get to right now.
You wouldn't be a developer if you didn't have a backlog.
Exactly. It never ends. And if it's not this project, it'll be another one.
Right.
I mean, I love what I do. So.
And what would it cost for a person to be able to use this either today or in the future?
It's set to a 7-day free trial, no cards needed, and it's $4.99 a month.
Okay. So very inexpensive.
I've waived more than I've allowed to get paid on. Because it's still in an MVP phase, right? I value feedback over a paycheck right now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so, is there an email list that's coming out with like updates? Because I definitely signed up for the trial. So like, will I get updates on, hey, we've added these new features?
Not yet, but I do plan on doing that. There's some work that I need to do to kind of build release notes and stuff like that. And I'm undecided on whether I having been in the technology world for so long, I am very hesitant on sending emails.
Yes.
Unless they have to be done eventually, maybe marketing and things like that. But I think I'm going to try to probably build a page with like release notes and stuff for now. Only because I don't want to be spamming people, because
right.
I'm releasing like 4 days a week right now.
Yeah, no one needs that many emails unless it's from recruiters telling me that I got the interview, then I want the emails. Yeah, it's really awesome. So if anyone here who's listening has the time to check it out, I'll drop it attached to the episode so that you can see TimeTrackerAI and play around with it. Do you know how long you're planning on keeping the 7-day free trial open?
I will keep that forever. I want people to get in there and see the value. Like I said, it's an MVP right now, but there's new features every day or every couple days. But yeah, I don't plan on removing that. I would love for people, and even myself, when I go to try a product, I love to see the value before I provide any credit card information.
Right. And is it, do you think there's a way in which, because right now it's more manual, you have to enter the thing that you did and the time that you spent on it. Yep. Is there a way in which your brainstorming, can this be more automated? Like if I, share my screen or I'm giving access to my computer, can you see the websites I'm spending the time on and give me that of like, here's what you did, kind of like the screen time, right?
Yeah.
With an iPhone.
Yeah, so I have some items on the backlog to kind of look into those things. I know they're possible. It's just me right now. So it's what are people asking for? I would say, I other than some core features that we talked about that I'm adding, I'm really taking in feedback from other people, and that's kind of how I'm prioritizing what gets built next. So I think it's on the About Us page, there's a link to the GitHub issues. So if you have feedback or you have something that you want to request, just go there and enter it as an issue, and I'll figure it out and get it on the backlog and start building it.
And no one talks about how difficult it can be to do all of this and roadmap and think about these things when you've probably worked in positions where you had a project or a program manager helping you with the roadmap and making sure everyone else who was a stakeholder or a core functional team was doing their due diligence so that you could focus on just your one part. You're having to do all of the parts.
I have to do all of the above. But my background in engineering helps because I've always started with a QA role. Almost every company I've worked for ended up taking on other roles. I mean, I like filling those gaps when needed. So, but it helps me learn and helps me grow. And it all comes back to me now. And I can do these things because I've had to do them in a, well, I guess it's all a real scenario, but I've had to do these in other more stressful situations because if I don't get it done, then someone says, hey, why didn't you get this done? If I don't get it done for myself, I'm just like, I'll do it tomorrow. Right?
With that in mind, are you open to people connecting with you if they hear your story, they resonate with it, just connecting with you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So I'll show your LinkedIn out on here as well. That was Rob Sarro, QA leader, SaaS founder, and walking reminder that even a layoff can lead to a leap forward. If you want to connect with Rob or try out TimeTrackerAI, you'll find all the links in the episode description. Oh, and he changed that free subscription from 7 days to 30 days. And as always, if you're enjoying the Reboot Era, make sure to follow, leave a review, or send it to someone who needs a little extra hope today. Until next time, keep rebooting, one small win at a time.